How we doing, kids? Here it is, vlog number 3. Cat hair. This time I want to talk about taking breaks or going to social events or taking holidays. Mostly because I'm taking a week off next week and I'm socializing this weekend, so that's probably the context I'll put most of this stuff in. So there's a few things to keep in mind when socializing. Like, because we're making lifestyle choices, this shouldn't be about cutting out socializing or cutting out the typical events that people do: dinners, drinks, parties, clubbing, festivals, concerts, XYZ. It's about applying your new systems and your new way of doing things to those events and activities, and finding ways to make this new lifestyle suit. And I've got a bunch of notes here, so I'll just sort of refer to those as we go along. But the first one that pops out to me is, like, one thing to keep in mind is that you actually never could or should have lived the lifestyle that you were living. So myself, when I started dieting, I started to be like, like McDonald's, Nando's, KFC, my nachos. Anybody knows me knows I cook a freakish amount of nachos. These were my favorite foods: alcohol, lollies, whatever. These were like my favorite foods. These were my comfort foods. These were the foods I ate regularly. And then when I started to diet and change my lifestyle, I sort of lamented that I couldn't eat these foods anymore, and how, and this is why people get into that mentality of just being like, I'm just going to do it for 12 weeks and then go back to these other foods. And the point is like, when you're thinking about having a social event, going to a party, like we're having a games night here on Saturday, your tendency, like I used to drink port all the time at these kind of events, and it's just so high in calories. And the thing I try to remind myself is I could never eat those things. Not in the way I did anyway. So I'm not really like missing out or anything. It's just that I was never really supposed to have Macca's on Wednesday, a bowl of nachos on Saturday, 2 bottles of port on a Saturday night, maybe Nando's on Friday, and then try to pepper in sort of lower calorie offsetting and stuff in there. You're not supposed to eat like that, in the sense, if you want to be healthy and you want to have a favorable body composition. So keep that in mind. Some of these points are about your psychological point of view, and that's another thing. Remember your goals. When you go to these events, like, you should be like finding ways to make your goals exciting. So when you go to like the games night we have on Saturday, or the week I'm going down south next week, remember your priorities. Like, you have a goal, you have a caloric range or window. So find things that fit into that you enjoy. I mean, these are rules for the whole of the lifestyle overhaul process. It's find things you like. So I like port, and I'm actually going to allow myself to have some port on Saturday night. But even leading up to that, I've put it in my fitness pal and I'm looking at it, and a bottle of port is 1,000 calories. And I'm on 2.1 to 2.4. So now I have 1,400 calories to make up my macros. And the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, do I like port that much? Well, maybe. I've got a week off coming off. It's nice. I think about it and I'm like, chilling with friends, having a nice glass of port, sharing it around. And that's a calorie saver, by the way. Sharing these things with your friends. You have smaller portion sizes. But there are alternatives. I could have diet sodas with some kind of spirit. That I like rum. It's unfortunate that the calorie mixes diet-wise with rum and things like Coke, which have caffeine, and they don't create as nice a sensory experience. But the point is like, having a rum and a diet ginger ale or something is not the end of the world, and it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good, and it's going to get you a light buzz, and it's going to get you like in that low inhibition state where you can have fun with your friends. Plan and prepare alternatives, and that's sort of that point as well. So like, come to these kind of things and think about that, like that well, I've just covered it. So like having the rum and dry ginger ale, or not drinking, or having a glass of wine that you share with your friends or something. And even when we like, there's going to be people who are coming, say on Saturday night or on this holiday down south, that aren't dieting, that don't care about it, and are not in a calorie restriction and don't want you to be. So it's about being like, well, how can I find ways to participate in activities that don't be like, well, no, I can't do that at all. It's like, well, you can. If you're going to dinner, you can get maybe a steak and a side salad, or a chicken breast and a side salad or something. The way they're cooked in restaurants and the way they're done, I mean, it's not a hulking plate of meat with chips falling over the sides, but like we said, you could never have had that. Like, really. I mean, you could. If you wanted to offset, you could do that. That's fine. And that leads us to offsetting. Offsetting is when you have so my calorie target for, let's say it's 22. So my calorie target for Saturday night is 2,200 calories, and we touched on this already. So you're going, whatever enjoyment or pleasure activities I want to put in there, bottle of port, rum, whatever, I have to still, I personally am like, calories and protein have to be hit every day. So if my goal is 2.2, and look, I could bump it up to 2.7 and offset on Sunday and stuff like that, and we'll get into that in a second. So let's just say we're focusing on the Saturday calorie goal of 2.2, and I'm going to have, let's say, 1,000 calories of port and maybe some nibblies or something. I can offset that by having protein shakes during the day, maybe a protein bar to get some solids so I'm not just drinking liquids, and then a meal that's quite heavy in protein. For me, it's oats. I have some carbs and a couple of scoops of protein powder, and then basically the port, and that's my calories for the day. You can do it as an offset like that. And you can pepper fruits and vegetables in there too, and you should. And then there's the week offset. So you go like, I want my average for the week to be 2,200 calories. So I get to Saturday night and I'm like, F it, I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to have oats. I'm going to have, at lunchtime, I'm going to have a green smoothie with a scoop or two of protein. In the afternoon or before dinner, I'm going to have tuna, cottage cheese, and Krustkits, and maybe some rice cakes or something there. So that's roughly about 1,800 calories. And then I'm going to have the port, which will take me to just under 3. So that's going to bump up my average for the week. So on Sunday, maybe Monday, I could do a thing where I go, okay, today I'm having 1,800 calories, dropping the fat right down, dropping the carbs, protein. Now, those are things you can do, but what I end up finding with that is that people end up chasing their tails. They end up just going around and around in circles, constantly trying to catch up to their caloric goal. And they end up just like having shitty macros, starving and binging, and that's the cycle. And honestly, my success with dieting has come from not doing that. So I don't want to do it. I don't want to have shitty food on Saturday and then starve myself on Sunday. That's just it's just going to make Sunday shit. It's probably going to make Saturday a bit shit too. So don't do it. Think about moderation, and that's in there as we've been talking the whole time. Enjoy your friends and the company that you're with. And if you need to drink, and look, I want to drink, not need to, but let's say you really, really want to, and it's okay to really, really want some things. Then you have a couple of glasses of port, you track it, you don't have to have the whole bottle. Or you have a couple of glasses of port and then you go to the rum and you don't go overboard. You have your calories during the day and you just sort of make it up slightly during the week. Same with the food on Saturday night, which I know I've focused heavily on alcohol because that's just for me on Saturday night, and for the coming week, those will be the bulk of my calories, I'm sure. But when you're thinking about food, think about the moderation of that too. And like I've said, we talked about this. You go to dinner, you have a steak with salad instead of chips. People are coming around on Saturday night. You do things like, we're not putting on food. You can get food if you want. I've encouraged clients who are coming to bring their own food, particularly people with special dietary needs, but also just bring your own food. Don't worry about looking weird. Don't worry about people being like, oh my God, even just a conversation starter, right? People might be like, oh, why do you have like a tub of food with you? And you're like, oh, I'm just, trying to eat healthy. I know I'll get hungry if we, play games into the night and I'm, hungry. I'll just order a pizza or something, particularly if I've had a few drinks. Lowered inhibitions work both ways. So you could be like, I'm just going to have this here and, make it a nice meal, make it a hyper palatable meal, make it your favorite kind of like meat and tofu, whatever it is you eat. And that's another thing. Choose foods that you like. So when you're looking for alternatives for going away, and then let's take it away from Saturday night and let's look at going down south next week. I'm on a budget as well financially, and that helps me with a diet because it keeps me in line. But I'm preparing what I want to bring with me when we go down south. So I'm taking breakfast alternatives, protein powders, I'm taking protein bars, I'm taking rice cakes, I'm taking cans of tuna, I'm taking my cottage cheese, my Cruskits. From those things alone, I can get meals that I really like. I have some steaks in the fridge, in the freezer. I've got some frozen like seasoned chicken pieces and some kebabs and stuff like that, like the meat on skewer kebabs. Put all of that in a freezer bag, take it down south, and people will see like, oh, what are you cooking? Like that's awesome. What are you making? You can explain it, expose your friends to new things. That's what I'm talking about. Like, if I wasn't dieting, I would just be like, F it, I'm going down south. What are we having? We go to the shops the first day we're there. We pick up a shitload of bacon and eggs and all that kind of stuff, which isn't necessarily bad, but I'm not in control. I'm not thinking ahead. I'm not planning ahead. There's no forethought there. I'm just sort of going with the flow. I'm spending a lot more money than I wanted to, and I'm spending a lot more calories than I wanted to. So find new things. Remember, we can't live that lifestyle. We can't. So we need to find a new lifestyle, but that's not steamed chicken and broccoli. That's not a new lifestyle. It's foods you like. For me, pepper steak, like a Scotch fillet steak with a pepper sauce, some halloumi, and a shitload of potatoes with a side salad of spinach, some pepper sauce over it. That is divine. I could eat that all the time, and that's a fat loss meal. It's good for macros. It's good for my calories. That's not suffering. That's enjoying life, but just finding a new one. So low-cal alternatives touches on that as well. So my big emotional eating, and we can talk about emotional eating later on, but I was doing it. I'd come home after a long day and I'd stress eat nachos and a shitload of cupcakes. But if I'm tired, if I'm run down, if I'm feeling emotional or something, that steak and halloumi meal is my go-to meal. My standard dinner is the cottage cheese, tuna, and Cruskits. And trust me, when you're dieting, when you're actually in a constant, persistent calorie deficit, shit you didn't think tastes good before starts to taste real good. And that tuna, cottage cheese, Cruskits, when I'm at calorie maintenance in a surplus, I have to put halloumi with it. I have to have a diet soda with me. But when I'm dieting, that thing goes down a treat. So find things you like. Find low-cal alternatives. Find foods in the low-cal alternatives that you enjoy. Not all diet things taste like shit, and not all high-cal things are bad for you, but they have to be, like I used to eat when I'd have steak and stuff, like half a kilo of meat and all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, you can actually have quite a little bit and eat it slower and enjoy your food and use hunger signals and all that kind of stuff to tell you when to stop. Now we're getting long, and I think I've pretty much covered all my points. So just think about those things when you're going away. A forethought, thinking about it, offsetting, moderation. Don't worry about how you look to other people. Choose foods that you like. Find new things. Seek out new things. Choose low-calorie alternatives, but that tastes nice. Remember your goals. Keep in mind when you go to these things that you're not looking to blow out and have a crazy night. And I guarantee you, if you're, 25 to 35 to 40, and you're working with your work friends, most likely they're working professionals like you, and they're not interested in coming around and getting shit-faced. They may, because that's sometimes what happens. And that's ultimately a lot more fun, isn't it? When you catch up with your friends, a few drinks, you're playing some games or doing whatever. Before you know it, it's midnight and you're all piss-ass drunk running around laughing at each other. You didn't intend to get there. I'm sure you weren't just doing shots or whatever, and you just got a light buzz and you're a bit tipsy and you're having fun with your friends. You're getting a bit sidetracked there. And I think that's pretty much it. Low-cal alternatives, prepare and plan alternatives, forget your old lifestyle, moderation, remember your goals, all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit of a longer one today because I do think this is an important thing, and it's how people stop themselves getting in trouble. So if there's anything that you thought I missed or anything you think you should add, please comment on this, comment on the Facebook, comment where you see it, tag me in it so I see it. like and subscribe, I guess, if you enjoy the content. I mean, I'm just doing this YouTube thing to help clients, but get a following, that's good too. Otherwise, have a good weekend and long weekend for some of you, those in Australia, and I'll chat soon. Bye.